In this episode, Mark was almost killed by the killer. Never thought Moon Knight to be so miserable in this episode. His body was stabbed like a hedgehog. Mark came to the Egyptian side of Africa to find Amit's tomb as soon as possible. According to the Scarab's instructions, a group of men with the high priest also came to Amit's tomb near. Mark didn't know the tomb's location, but he had found out about the informant. He didn't predict the informant to be killed by some killers. Mark had no choice but to ask these killers. But these punks are tight-lipped. The leader of the killers provoked Mark. They began to gesture with knives in front of Mark. The killer took the knife and licked it. Mark was not merciful and ended up with 2 fists. He knocked the killers down quickly and put the dagger on the punk's neck. Just as he was about to press for information about the digging team, Steven suddenly appeared on the knife, and he used all his strength to stop Mark from killing. In a flash, Mark is back on the street. He had already gotten into a cab to the airport. Just in time to see the killers passing by, Mark got out of the car to try to catch them and ask them about the situation. He didn't even pay the cab fare and ran away. Several people gave chase in the market. He had a hard time catching one.
Mark, that's enough.
And suddenly Mark began to swap personalities again. Suddenly he saw 2 killers dead. Mark and Steven both believed that the other one did it. Mark took the last killer to the cliff, wanting to scare him to tell the information. But he didn't predict he is falling off the cliff like that. Mark thought the clue was dead, but Khonsu said he had a solution. Signal to the gods that they will not fail to see. Speaking of which, the whole city's sky was gradually shrouded in darkness. On the other side, the high priest digging the tomb happened to see it but didn't pay more attention to it. He thought Khonsu was desperate this time. After the signal for the gathering of the gods was given, all the avatars had to gather immediately. A stone door opened in front of Mark. He walked through the dark passage and gradually saw the room in front of him. It turned out that the gods' meeting place was actually the interior of the ancient pyramid. The judgment meeting of the gods was about to begin. The avatars of Ened came from the portal, and the avatar of Hathor approached Mark for a chat. She recollects how much Khonsu loved Hathor's melodies before. The rest of the gods have all arrived.
In attendance, Horus, Isis, Tefnut, Osiris, and Hathor, to hear the account of Khonshu.
Suddenly Khonsu takes control of Mark's body, and Khonsu tells the Ened that the high priest is about to release Amit. When confronted with Khonsu's accusations, the high priest retorted that he had only gone to the desert to look at the sand. If this is a crime, the criminal is longer than the Nile. Under the high priest's clever chicanery, he cleared himself of suspicion. He told Ened that Khonsu was mentally deranged and that Mark had 2 other personalities in his body so that the gods should not believe their lies. These words made Khonsu angry and wanted to beat him up. The gods made their verdict. They thought that the high priest had not committed any crime. After Hathor saw the other Ened left, she approached Mark and told him that there was a guardian named Senfu in the black market. When Mark had just connected with the black market, he found Layla quietly following him. Since she saw the high priest get the scarab, she prepared a fake passport and came to Egypt to find Mark to stop the high priest. Layla used to be a famous thief. So she is very clear about the ways of the black market. She tells Mark about the sarcophagus, bought by a man named Mogart, and Layla knows where Mogart is. The 2 of them go to Mogart's horse farm. It seemed that there was an equestrian event going on. Mogart was very happy to see Layla's visit and went up to him. But once he heard that Mark was Layla's husband, Mogart did not give Mark a good attitude. Mogart still took them to the sarcophagus. Layla took a look at the scriptures on the sarcophagus and identified the sarcophagus as authentic. But they still can't find the secret of Amit's grave. They desperately need Steven's help now. Mark is persuaded by Steven to help, and Mark takes the map and tinkers with it for a long time. Mogart feels terrible, and his bodyguard pulls out a gun to keep Mark from doing anything. Mark was about to explain to Mogart when, to his shock, the high priest also arrived here. His presence made the situation even worse. The high priest captured Mogart with a scepter and used magic to blow the sarcophagus. That made Mark angry. Moon Knight appeared. Layla took the opportunity to return to the sarcophagus to collect the star map. As Mark was about to kill the bodyguard, Steven appeared to stop Mark, thinking it was too violent.
Alright, time out!
That's it, time out. Guys, let's all calm down, yeah? We're all worked up. Let's all just like chill the F out and talk for a second.
Ended up getting a stick stuck in his body.
Body.
Although he won't die, he will still feel pain. He gave his body back to Mark's control. Steven's foolishness brought Mark a lot of trouble. When Layla saw Mark's situation, she took the gun and rushed into the stable to rescue him. Unexpectedly, Mogart knocked him to the ground with a stick. When Mogart was ready to kill Layla, Mark immediately rushed forward to save Layla and killed Mogart with a turn.
Tick-tock, Mark Spector. Tick-tock.
After Mark saved Layla, they drove out of the city to the desert. Mark and Layla worked hard for half a day but couldn't put it together. Mark had no choice but to give the body to Steven, hoping he could find a vital clue. Steven put it together with no difficulty. After successfully solving the puzzle, Steven said that the star map cannot be directly navigated. Senfu once recorded the tomb placed 2,000 years ago in the starry sky. With the loss of time, the position of the stars will also change. If you use the current location to calculate, it will be 1,000 miles off. When they are at their wits' end, Khonsu steps forward and says,
Remember every night.
but this needs to be done with Steven's help. Khonsu told Steven that let Mark get him free if he was imprisoned by the gods. Steven then transformed into Moon Knight and began to twist the entire starry sky like Khonsu. Layla immediately took out her locator to find the location. This astrological event not only shocked the ordinary people but also angered the other gods. They had just warned Khonsu not to use God's might, and now the gods began to cast spells. They stood around the stone pillar, and the sealing ceremony began. Suddenly, Khonsu felt the power in her body draining away. Before the power disappears, Layla finally finds the coordinates.
I got it! 29 degrees north, 25 east.
Then Khonsu's body also faded away. The gods sealed Khonsu in this stone statue. Without Khonsu, Steven also collapsed in the desert. After the gods sealed Khonsu, the high priest came to the pyramid. No one realized that there was a traitor among the Ened. After the other gods left, the high priest told Khonsu,
I'm going to do what you could not, and when it's finished, I want you to remember one thing. You Torment forced me. I owe my victory to you.